Because everyone is blackpilling about interactions between men and women at the moment.
Yes, constantly. I mean, so we're back with the pillow talk, and they're on the telephone, right? I love
Yes.
my framing on these pictures is not great because they're this way, and I've only got this space to show them. But this is what Kilts was describing. That there's Rock Hudson on the phone with Doris Day, and the sort of cleverness in the way in which they film these things where they're not allowed to show people in bed together, so they show people in bed together by putting them both on the phone together. Right? So they're in in bed together talking on the phone to each other, and you're supposed to feel that this is really racy. Well, just wait till you see the next way they cut this. So they do this. She's lying down on the bed, and he is in the inset image on the top of the screen, lying on top of her. Oh yeah, I'm sure somebody got a bunch of giggles out of that.
Oh, they did a similar thing with the bathtub too, where they had the split screen and they were
Yeah.
both in the bath and the phone. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so they're being racy and stuff about showing,
Yeah.
they're in bed together, but, on the phone with each other. But I wanted to us to talk through some of this because you've been telling me about your adventures in the discussions. Can you talk more about what you've encountered and what's frustrating about them?
I quit chats. I just decided, like, I think it was last week, the week before. I've quit a bunch of chats because okay, this is the Andrew Tate apocalypse era now.
Yep.
This is, it's all sort of bubbling underneath everybody's fury with the state of our culture right now. And talking to a lot of people that are, they want to be traditional, they want to go against modernity, they're unhappy with the state of women being completely over emancipated in the workforce, and they hate feminism, blah, 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 blah. And yet, I have absolutely no idea how to talk to women. Absolutely no idea. Not even in a chat room environment where it's like we're all kind of on the same page with a lot of things. There just seems to be nothing but fury at the the lack of Bukhastani style male veneration in Western women. And that's what I found really interesting watching that particular movie, because it seems like a lot of guys that I was talking to have this vision that Western women were like Orientals in these Orientalist rom-coms. That once upon a time in the golden age before we were in the office, we were always completely doting on them. Perfectly obedient, perfectly submissive, had absolutely no ambition to do anything outside of their home, etc. And then added on top of that is the fury that they have at the war on masculinity. So we've got somebody like Andrew Tate out now, who's just been recently arrested in Romania for allegedly sex trafficking women. Even though he's admitted to being a cam girl pornographer. So we go back to pillow talk again. Tate was like Rock Hudson on steroids in the sense that he's setting up catfishing operations to hustle all of these guys out of their money by having women that he's groomed and manipulated into falling in love with him, then go on and work as sex workers for him to make money for him. And he said that he put them on screen and had them typing on a keyboard that wasn't plugged in while he was in the back doing all of the typing and telling all of the stories to the boys that he needed to tell them in order to, hustle them out of all of their money. So I've got two thoughts that are running at the same time, but like the Rock Hudson archetype of catfishing on the phone. It's kind of it's never ended. It just kept going. But it got worse. It went to Romania, and that's become a lot of people's vision of virtuous masculinity.
This is making no sense to me. You're going to need to talk me. I had not heard of Andrew Tate, maybe dimly, until like 3 days ago or a week ago or whatever.
He was extremely obscure until he went on Tucker Carlson, and then he did a Piers Morgan interview.
Ah, okay.
Because he had a pyramid scheme. So it was like he had thousands of guys that were posting about him on social media to push him into the algorithm.
Got it.
And because he was saying a bunch of vaguely true things, vague truisms about the state of our culture and censorship and everything, he ends up on Tucker Carlson and Piers Morgan. And he's presented to the culture as this incredible alpha male rebel against the feminist West and the emasculated men of Western culture. So that's where he sort of emerges and then instantly gets arrested. And a lot of the guys on the internet were saying, oh, they're trying to take him down because he's telling the truth, which I just found really odd, because he wasn't. He made his money literally by not telling the truth, right, and by pretending to be cam girls. So,
I mean, which fits with the Rock Hudson character in Pillow Talk when he's yeah, it does. The conversations that Doris Day keeps overhearing with him are he's talking to yet another woman that he's trying to get into bed by pretending to be writing songs for her. So Andrew Tate's working in real life in a long tradition of seducers. Yeah, like the pickup artistry thing. Yeah. It's a long tradition. And I find it really fascinating that this is the kind of masculinity that's been pushed to it's been fake deplatformed, but platformed and presented to all of the young men now as the solution to feminist takeover. You have to be like this. This is like this is the masculinity they're trying to destroy. But obviously it isn't. If this is the kind of masculinity that got Doris Day in that film, this is actually Hollywood's version of alpha male. Right. Very much so in this Pillow Talk. Yeah. I'm gonna unfortunately make you sad about Pride and Prejudice, but it's no. Not about Pride and Prejudice as such, right? Jane Austen was a great writer and very delicate in her scathing descriptions. I think when I first read Jane Austen, I didn't fully appreciate how amazingly strong she is as a writer. It's like this little pen flourish of what apparently is simply straight description is this whole layers of social commentary. She's delightful. I mean, and Northanger Abbey is of course hysterical when she's sending up all of the Gothic romances. But the imagining of, like, in her moment when she's writing that what she's describing is traditional. When you're talking about Andrew Tate and his schemes and his alleged schemes and his pickup artistry and stuff, I think he's been outclassed many times, but most famously, and if he ends up in prison, he can follow the instructions that in fact the man I'm about to mention could have given to him about what you do when you're in prison. For example, imprisoned in Venice under the roof and in the leads because you've seduced an entire convent of nuns. Oh, well, if you're Casanova, you're going to end up reading Sor Maria de Agreda, Mystical City of God, because the Inquisitor only gives you that or the Sacred Heart meditation, and you think the Sacred Heart is crazy, so you're going to read about this crazy nun who is, having conversations with the Virgin Mary, so she's completely nuts. You have no idea, modern Western men, how effective Casanova was at talking himself into every single court in Europe, every single money-making scheme. He manages to talk the King of France into a lottery scheme that, you know, he ends up in, I don't think he ends up in prison more than once. I can't remember.
Casanova's crypto, that's fantastic.
Andrew Tate, if you're listening and you want to have something to read if they send you to prison, ask for Casanova. It'll keep you going for volumes and volumes and volumes. I think it's like 12 volumes in of memoirs, right? Which Casanova writes or imagines at the end of his life in 1798 or thereabouts, after he survives the French Revolution. We don't know how. As philosophy, right? He's going to, as a philosopher, describe his, sort of self-discovery through basically all of these adventures, which include some pretty racy scenes, I tell you. I was reading it as research for figuring out bits to assign to my class in History of European Civilization, and I think it would count as porn.
So it wouldn't have survived the Hays Code.
Oh, well, the woman that he ends up, this is just in the first half of the abridged version in the library, American Library Classics, or I don't know which version it was reading, where this woman who's been traveling around pretending to be a young man, he's trying to have sex with her as a young man, and then she has to confess that the penis that she has isn't real. 18th century people, you're gonna be amazed. This is the milieu in which, of course. Go ahead.
That's not even like he got catfished by a trap. He wanted the lady boy.
Yes.
Who ends up not being the lady boy.
Or vice versa. I can't remember which way it went, but it's like, no, I think it was she was pretending to be a boy because I can't remember. But it's truly, if you any scenario you can imagine, Casanova's already done it. And if he didn't, his contemporary and fellow philosopher, the Marquis de Sade, definitely did. So,